Hi there, this is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video, we're discussing E is for Evidence, written by Sue Grafton. It's book 5 in the Alphabet Murder series, another good book in this series. This book is very emotional. It's got some very impactful scenes and one big scene in particular that could change Kinsey's life. I think this is a great book in the series, and it just shifts a few things in the series. That big change is a very big moment in this book and in the series as a whole. In this story, it's nearing Christmas, but Kinsey gets an unusual Christmas present at the start of the book. She finds that she's got $5,000 in her bank account. She didn't put it there, and she's wondering who did. Is it a bank error? Is somebody putting it there for a different reason? What's that $5,000 about? So she contacts the bank, and the bank's starting to investigate. And for the meantime, that $5,000 is just there in her account. She's about to leave the office, and then the receptionist for the insurance company that she does some work for pops her head in and says there's an urgent case. They need her to go to a warehouse at this factory and investigate a fire. There's a big fire in a warehouse, a lot of stock damaged. They need her eyes on it straight away to see if the claim's genuine. Kinsey's not happy about it, but she'll do it because she does a few cases for the insurance company so she can rent her office space. At the scene of the fire, she meets a guy called Lance Woods, and she realizes that this guy she knew when she was younger in high school. She knew their family. So even though they got that connection, she can be professional and do her job. And as she's about to investigate the warehouse a bit more, Lance gets a phone call and takes off. So it's up to another guy in the building, in the factory, called Terry, and he leads her to the warehouse so she can take a look around and just take stock of the fire and see if it looks genuine or not. And in her eyes, it looks genuine, and she makes all these notes in the file to say so. A little while later, though, she's asked to go and meet the head of this insurance company, and he's got questions about her case. The case doesn't seem straightforward. Where are all her notes? Some of the things she put in that file have gone missing, but there are also things now in the file that she was never given. Is somebody trying to set her up for something? And she's just wondering what's going on, because also the insurance company gets a tip that someone's paying her off to write this off as an accident instead of arson. And now she's thinking that $5,000 in her bank account, is that linked to this? And she's been suspended temporarily from helping out this insurance company anymore. She loses her office space. She thinks someone's out to get her. Not only her, someone's out to get the guy who owns this company, Lance. So she's going back to meet Lance, and she's trying to figure out who's out to get them both. As Kinsey delves further into this case, she renews those acquaintances with the Wood family. So the mother's still alive, and there's 5 kids. And the Woods family is quite a mixed bunch, to be honest. They're not all stable. They're not all nice. Kinsey remembers one very in particular she was friends with for a little while during high school. That friendship just kind of dwindled away. But now she's meeting them again, and she's got a feeling that some of them could have things to hide. Some of them could be good suspects. And she's got to watch herself, because they're all very good at hiding what they're up to. And they are quite a wealthy family, so they do have resources behind them. This family seem to have secrets they're willing to hide. What are they? She has to ferret them out, and it's not always easy for her. Some of it's quite dangerous, but Kinsey is very stubborn, as we know, and she is determined to get to the truth. But the 5 kids in the family, who are they? So we have Lance. Now Lance is in charge of the family company, and he's the one that Kinsey thinks someone is out to get him as well. And she thinks that not only is Lance on the line, but she is as well. We have Ebony, who's the eldest girl in the family. Ebony's very educated, but she stopped her education part way through. But she's very strong-willed, determined, very stubborn. But she also seems to be very power-hungry. And Kinsey gets the impression that Ebony could be a great suspect. Is Ebony trying to get Lance out of the way so she can get control of the company? We have Ash, Now, Ash is very likable in this family, and she was the one who Kinsey was friends with back in high school, and they seem to get on okay now they're adults. They seem to renew that friendship a little bit. Kinsey's pretty sure that Ash doesn't have anything to do with the threats against her or the company or the family. She thinks that Ash just goes along with the flow a bit. We have Olive. Now, Olive also looks like someone who's not much of a suspect in Kinsey's eyes. She seems more focused on her husband, very focused on her husband, and Kinsey thinks too focused in some ways. So, two girls in the family, Olive and Ash, Kinsey thinks probably won't be suspects, but she's keeping an eye on them anyway. The last child is Bass. Now, Bass is a bit of a loose cannon. He seems more interested in partying, than the business. All the kids have shares in the business, but they're not all focused on the business at all. They just have the shares and they seem to be getting money from the business, but not too interested in knowing what's going on. So out of the family, they've all got things they're trying to hide, but they're not all suspects in the possible case against Kinsey and Lance. So not only is Kinsey dealing with that, but something else happens in this book. Her ex-husband Daniel turns up at her door, out of the blue. They broke up because he's a bit of an addict as well, drugs and alcohol, and Kinsey doesn't want that in her life. He arrives at her door, and he wants to store his gear at her house, his instruments and his bags and that. He's got nowhere to live, he says to her, and he just needs her to look after his things while he finds somewhere to stay. She's reluctant at first, but then she gives in and agrees. She's not too sure about what his motives are. He seems genuine. He seems to be down to earth now. He seems to be given up on drugs and alcohol. So she thinks she can start to trust him, and he's showing some good signs to her that he's turning his life around a bit. There are quite a few twists and turns in this book. I won't give them all away. Some are very big. There's very big emotional and impactful scenes in this book, and there's a lot of time for Kinsey to grow in this book as well. There's a big learning curve, a big growing curve in her character, and there's certain points in her personal life and the case that do merge and join together through this book. And there's so many threads going on with so many suspects and so many red herrings as well. It's so much to juggle, I think, in this book, but Sue Grafton did it so well. I thought the end of this book was just fantastic. It was a real nail-biting finish for me in this book, and it just proves the mettle of the Kinsey character, I think, a lot. Just shows how strong she is, that she can get through anything. And I thought it was just a perfect ending to this perfect book. As with all Kinsey Millhone books, there's so many characters to choose from, and so many characters are really good in each book. Sue Grafton has just this strength of being able to create believable and strong characters in very short books. The first to talk about is Daniel, and we have to talk about Daniel because he's a big part of Kinsey's history. He seems to be able to manipulate Kinsey quite a lot. He's got many facets to his personality. He's got different character traits. Some are good, some are bad. In this book, though, he shows a few good traits. In certain parts of this book, he's endearing. In certain parts, he's likable, and he seems to care for Kinsey and the way he looks after her in certain parts of the book. So it's a very difficult character to read, I think. Sue Grafton's created a clever character in Daniel. He seems to have something he's hiding, but you're never quite sure what it is. But then you're wondering if it's just Kinsey thinking that, and we're seeing that through her point of view because she has suspicions about him. Is he really trustworthy all the time? So you're never sure whether it's just Kinsey's prejudice against Daniel because of their history, or if he does have something to hide. Ebony is a great character in this book. She's one of the 5 children of the Woods family. She's a good character because she's got a great contrast in her character. A lot of light and shade. Sometimes she seems very vulnerable, but other times she seems very domineering, very power hungry. very strong. Is she trustworthy? Is she hiding something? Is she capable of murder or of doing something dangerous? What's the truth about Ebony? Because she's very strong-willed, very stubborn, very power-hungry, also very vulnerable. Does that make someone capable of doing something drastic? And that's what Kinsey has to work out in this book. I want to mention Darcy in this video as well. Now, Darcy is the receptionist at the insurance company where Kinsey works and rents her office space from. Darcy is interesting because I think of her as a character that's very much like Kinsey herself. Very strong-willed, very stubborn, a bit skeptical of people, doesn't really like people at certain times, can be very forthright, very honest, even brutally honest to people. She reminds me a lot of Kinsey with a lot of those character traits. She doesn't like Kinsey. Kinsey doesn't really like her, but they bond over a common enemy. And as that book goes on, you get the sense that maybe they could be friends, that they're forging something, starting something there. So I do like Darcy because she is just this very complex character. There's something about her that reminds me so much of Kinsey, and there's something about her, I think, that is a great character in this series. I thought this book was a great addition to this series. I rate it a 5 out of 5. It just shows a great strength in Sue Grafton's writing, her character development, bringing some past into the book for Kinsey as well, having some really big scenes in this book that shift Kinsey a bit in her storyline, in her character growth. And just those big impactful scenes just pack a wallop. And I think, it was just a masterstroke for Sue Grafton to include those in this book. As I read through this series, I'll review each book and put a video up on my channel. If you don't want to miss out on those videos, check out my channel and subscribe. I'll also have a Sue Grafton playlist on my channel. Should be on your screen now.